ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie The Island. But of course, before we get to any of that, I am joined today by Gingrich 3 Foxtrot, Nathaniel Gingrich.
That's me, Gingrich 3 Foxtrot.
I wouldn't mind like everyone being named,
Last
X
name first.
name 3 and then phonetic alphabet. Like that's I was kind of rocking with it.
What's N in call sign alphabet?
November.
So I'd
I
be
believe.
Gingrich 3 November.
Let me look up phonetic alphabet here. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
You're enough of a gamer. I feel like
it is November.
There you go.
That is something that came up somewhat recently. Have you guys heard of the game Connections with the New York Times?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're not familiar, listeners, it's similar. I won't say it's similar to Wordle. It's similar to Wordle in the sense that there's a new one every day that you can play, and it's a New York Times game. But
Nice.
Connections is 16 words displayed out on a grid, and you have to find the groups of 4 that are each have some kind of relation to each other. So it'll be like things that are green, things that
Dinosaurs.
yeah. It's like things that are.
It could be anything.
You wouldn't. Yeah, it can be anything, and there's some are easier than others. Whatever.
Yeah,
it is,
I've definitely
anyway.
seen it like some days where it's because my mom and my brother play, so I refuse.
Yeah. I'll play a couple times a week.
Yeah. But they've definitely had a day where like there are 4 other words that could link in a different way or something like that, but that's not what they're looking
very
for,
much,
kind of thing.
Right. They very much kind of try to trick you where it's like these two could go together, but also these two could go together, and A and C are not gonna go together,
Right.
so you kind of got to figure that out.
Do you have 3 and you just can't figure out or don't know the connection on one more or such and such? This is how the game is played.
Yeah.
Let's explain it to you in minute detail so you can just never have fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
but anyway,
podcasting.
This is pod racing.
That needs to be a
recently-
clip that we have. Just this is podcasting instead, though, but it's just
No, this is podcasting.
Yeah. It could be the intro to our YouTube videos.
There you go. I like that.
It's
but
working.
recently-
It's working. Little visual gag for you guys.
That's Blake with his mic.
Yikes.
He's not here. We can talk shit. I heard that's the rule.
That is the rule. That is the rule. If you're not in the room,
I will say the
Watch out.
microphone's not his fault though.
no, not at all. We don't know what is wrong. We're
I
figuring.
feel
it
like we're all pretty much on the same page about it being network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll get over there at some point and we'll troubleshoot. I've got some ideas cooking. Anyway, recently on Connections, it was the phonetic alphabet. There was 4 immediately. One was like hotel, and I saw Foxtrot, and then I just was like, oh, yeah, I know this. And then I just grabbed those 2 and grabbed the other 2. My girlfriend was like, how did you know that? And I was like, you don't know like the phonetic alphabet? And then I realized that's probably not super common knowledge. Like I feel like a decent amount of people know at least some of those, but I don't know. I guess I understand more than I would say the average person. I just never fully put that together.
Yeah, I learned everything I knew about it from the Bloodhound Gang song.
I'm not familiar.
Foxtrot, Uniform, Charlie Kilo.
Can't say I can relate.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm happy for you.
That's a millennial reference for you.
Okay, cool. Also joining us today is Vidalis 4 Gamma. Tyler Vidalis.
Dude, hit me with that gamer.
Gamma.
You think you're gonna turn into the Hulk, bro?
Probably.
What color Hulk? Apparently you can do all sorts of colors.
G is G is golf, though, is it not?
I believe so.
It is, but I don't know. They did Echo. Well, I guess yeah. I guess I should have done golf there. In my head, I went like Greek alphabet, but you know what? We can correct that to golf. You are
No,
correct.
I mean
It
I'm
is
okay.
golf.
I do like golf.
What's
but,
T?
What is C?
What is T for Tyler?
Tango.
E?
Tango, yeah, of course, tango.
Yeah.
That just means someone else has to be Cash.
Tyler, how much money to like name your firstborn after any name on the phonetic alphabet?
Tango Vidalis.
Like,
I mean,
like you have to, you get to pick, but it has to be off the phonetic alphabet list.
The easy one is Charlie, right? Like,
Oh,
boy
yeah,
or
there you
girl.
go.
Yeah, I guess that's, you know what? I guess you got me there. That's an easy one. But like, it can't be Charlotte.
But
Like,
the
Charlie's
question-
often short
The
for
question
like
was,
Charlotte.
how much
girl.
money would it take?
No,
not what would you
Oh,
pick?
no. I would also want that. The second follow up, of course, was which one would you pick? So I'm not mad that you jumped there because that was coming. But but back to the original thing. How much money would that take for you guys to only be able to pick from the phonetic
to
alphabet
name your
list?
possible son Charlie.
And if it's a daughter, her name's Charlie, not Charlotte.
No,
No,
actually,
if-
I've always liked the name Charlie for a girl.
I do too, but I feel like it's usually short for Charlotte or.
I've known two
someone
Charlies
else.
that are full on Charlies.
Oh?
That are girls. Yeah.
Excuse me, then. Okay.
I don't really think it would take that much money. I mean, I would try to get as much money as possible out of it, but at the end of the day, there's really not a lot of bad names in there.
Can't wait to have little X-Ray Gingrich running around.
Juliet. You literally
the
have
funniest one you could have said right there.
You literally have Romeo and Juliet.
You do have Romeo and Juliet. Kilo.
Victor.
Oh, you got Mike on there. You know what? This isn't that hard, actually. I take it
Oscar.
back. This is not. You have literally Mike right there.
No,
in
I
front of
want someone. Kilo Vidalis. That dude's a wrestler.
Yo. Quebec
Yo,
Vinalis.
Honestly, I'm probably like Alpha.
Alpha Vitalis. If your kid doesn't have a mohawk, his name's Alpha Vidalis.
That kid's born with a mohawk, dude.
He's literally, I want him to basically have the fighting skills, the tenacity, and the attitude of the kid in the newer Karate Kid that he fights second to last, where he always pushes up his mohawk right before he fights. That's the attitude I want him to have.
That's awesome. So not that much money is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, you can make this donation to me at any time, and I'll just go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess I really should have looked over this list a second time just to make sure. But if you've got Charlie and Mike right there, I guess I would also probably take whatever amount of money you gave me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And
fair
Juliet
enough.
for a girl, that's pretty decent.
That's why I said Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like
Zulu.
easy.
Zulu would be sick.
Gingrich. Zulu, yeah. Yankee.
Zulu Schwartz.
Zulu Schwartz.
Yeah,
would be
that
pretty
doesn't
cool.
really roll. Not a lot rolls off with the Schwartz, it's selective.
Hotel Holder.
Hey, there you go. Blake, if you're listening, because of course Blake is not joining us tonight. He had some work things come up, which of course we understand, and it happens. I'm very disappointed he's not here because I wasn't gonna give him a little like Holder 5 Bravo anything. It was gonna be a big Black Wasp Blake, because I watched this movie and I was like, Black Wasp Blake, I've got it. Like, it was one of the only times in watching a movie where I was like, there you go. There's a name we have for the podcast.
It jumped out at you.
Yeah, I was just like, got it. Take that down, write that, just jot that in the back of my mind.
Done.
Big Black Wasp Blake, and we crossed it off the list. I talked recently. When was The Dark Knight? Was that last week already?
Yep.
Was it just last week? Yeah. About how that's top 5 vehicles I'd like to drive. The Black Wasp is up there, dude. I didn't know that thing existed,
Fair enough.
but it quickly approached my top 10. That's for sure. Because that thing looked cool. Yeah.
Speaking of looking cool, let's talk about The Island.
Does this movie look cool, Nathaniel? That's editorializing. All right, it's not very journalistic of you. Okay, we have a lot of integrity to uphold here.
I'm sorry. This was a casual conversation among movie talk among friends.
You know what? Not this week. I've decided we are full on movie bros this week.
Oh,
you know
God. Hold on.
Get ready.
Let me recede my chin further into my neck.
Nathaniel's like pulling like a Alien Romulus, where he's gonna pull out his like his AI chip from like his college days. And he's gonna reboot.
Yeah, hold on. You'll see me seize for a second.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a 30-second gap. Listeners, we'll edit it out for you though, but I'm just be locked up here for a bit.
Yeah, pause for station identification.
Yeah, that's actually what plays every time that happens. Listeners used to think I just did that, but I was just rebooting.
And the KYOT channel. Is that
You're
is that
listening
what
to
goes on?
Smooth Jazz 99.9.
Is that what's happening every time you say that? That makes sense now.
KYOT, the coyote.
I love that we retconned that. Now if you go back and you listen to previous episodes,
you'll
now
know.
you know what's
Listeners know the
every
lore.
time KYOT. Yeah, exactly. We are building lore as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, a movie that also has a lot of lore, of course, is The Island. I actually don't know if that's true. I don't
Not at
think
all.
there's a lot of lore here. But we're going to talk about 2005's classic, The Island. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new or perhaps you've just forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it's split into two sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie itself, who wrote it, who's in it, who directed it, all that good stuff. We'll go down the IMDb page. We'll go around and around the quadrant, but tonight we are a triad. And we'll see if we recommend this movie. Triumvirate. There you go.
Is that right?
Yep.
Cool.
A triptych.
Love that one.
We'll go around and see if we would recommend the movie or not. It has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. And then it'll be spoiler time. If you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, go ahead and check back in, check the show notes, and see when spoiler time will be over so you can listen to us rank it up on our Entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. With that being said, Adam, tell me about The Island.
I would love to. This is a new movie, of course. Just kidding. Just kidding. This was released nearly 20 years ago, fellas.
Yes, sir.
You were but a wee lad.
I was about 5 years old. My memories were just starting to come to fruition. I can't say I remember too much of 2005. I'm not gonna lie. Probably some of my earlier memories around that time, but I can't like place those specifically in 2005. So, can't say I know too specifically what was going on around that time. Directed by Michael Bay, of course, and the writing credits go to Caspian Treadwell Owen. What an awesome name. And then Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orsi. The cast includes Ewan McGregor, Scarlett Johansson, Jimon Hansu, Sean Bean, and Steve Buscemi. I think we'll leave it there. That's our main cast here. There are some few characters here and there that you'd probably recognize. Some 2000s faves and well-known faces.
This has got some guys in it, man.
It does. This had some like, oh, that guy's here for me. Notably Brian Stepanek, who is in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Sure.
As the janitor. That's where I know him from mainly. And then they had Big Mike from Chuck makes an appearance as the construction worker. And who is the other? Oh, Cam from Modern Family makes an appearance in here as well.
Is that Eric Stone Street? I think.
That sounds right. He has a very small role. Let me see if I can find his.
Oh, you're fine. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. And Yvette Nicole Brown, who hasn't remained or has still remained pretty relevant and had some appearances, of course, since this kind of release. She hasn't fallen off quite like a few of the other people we've mentioned. She's still kicking, but she's here, makes an appearance as well.
I always remember her from
casting crew.
Was she the manager in Drake and Josh of the theater? Yeah,
at the movie theater. Yeah, that's definitely where I know her from too. That's a core one for me. Where
I associate that in Community.
Her. What was that you just said?
Community. She was a main cast member on Community.
Oh, yeah, and Community. Yeah, of course. Good one as well. The IMDb summary of The Island reads as follows. In 2019, a mercenary pursues a man and woman who escaped a research facility after learning their true fate. All right.
One of my favorite
Decent
things where in a future that has now come to pass.
Yes, do love that. Do love that. I was watching this with Papa Schwartz, and he goes, "What year did this come out?" And I was like, 2005. He goes, And I was thinking about that. I was like,
Did he see it? Has he seen it before?
he didn't say if he had or not. It didn't seem like he did, based on how he reacted and what I told him about it. So
What
he
a
was
great
like,
movie to watch with your dad.
Oh, total dad movie.
I don't know if he loved it. He's not a big Michael Bay fan, I don't think.
He's not into the Bayhem.
He's not.
Yeah.
So I couldn't fully gauge his reactions. And we haven't discussed the movie much since watching it. So maybe I'll report back.
I feel like at some point I want to just like show Papa Schwartz some just wild ass movies and just really expand his taste, and just really get in there and see what makes him tick,
Good luck with that. I don't. I'll take that back. He's very open to his genres. I never thought before we started this podcast that my dad would voluntarily put on a movie like Kiki's Delivery Service, but upon hearing your recommendation and what we're watching, he puts it on.
Love Kiki's.
He's expanded his horizons much more than I ever thought was possible. So you know what? I will take back that he would be closed off to that, because I'm sure he'd love to sit down and watch whatever you
get some
on
deep
for him,
cuts.
so.
Just walk in and be like, "All right, we're turning on Green Room, Papa Schwartz."
Well, I think he saw that one. I don't know if he did fully get to that one or not. But that is a good one, and that was one I was thinking of recently. I saw a movie over the weekend, which I'll talk about after the review. But it was a movie where I was like, this would be one of my green rooms. And then I was also talking to a buddy of mine who's into movies, not quite to our level, but is pretty into movies. And I was like, I can't wait to show him Green Room, because I'm gonna put that on for him at some point in the near future.
The director of Green Room has a new one coming out on Netflix soon.
What's it called?
I think it's Rebel Road. Looks like Black Rambo. Like, guy got home from the wars, out hiking through the road. Cops start harassing him. Things go down.
Is he directing or writing?
Jeremy Saulnier is directing. I think he may be writing too. Might be.
I don't see. Upcoming Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge. There it is.
This does look like Black Rambo. That's awesome. Anyway, we're talking about The Island. Sorry to get sidetracked. Yeah, it is kind of odd sometimes. Obviously, when you have surpassed the year that this takes place, I advise all science fiction writers writing stories in the future to like double the time you think you're gonna elapse.
Set it however far you need to, and then double it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just double, triple it. Like, you can never be too far into the future, just because these movies haven't aged well. Back to the Future. Whew, that's you're not looking too smart. If you're watching that in the year 2024.
After I went to see the musical last week.
Oh my God. I think I missed it. I don't think I can go see it. That totally left my mind. And I think I should have gone over the weekend. I should have just bought a ticket in that. This is very off topic. It doesn't matter. Here we are, gentlemen, though. It's 2005. It's The Island. Guys, I owe Michael Bay an apology.
Yes.
Dear Michael Bay, I'm sorry. I doubted you. I never fully understood you. I think you came into my life at a time where I was not sure what to believe. The Transformers movies just weren't.
They weren't.
I wasn't I couldn't decipher the Michael Bay from the Transformers. I thought they were one and the same, and I just I associated everything I knew of you with them. And since watching, he's The Rock as well, right?
He did The Rock. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Since watching that one,
The Criterion
and now-
Collection's own The Rock. It's a true
I need
fact.
that DVD ASAP. And after watching The Rock, I was more familiar with your game, and now after watching The Island, I truly understood how visionary you truly are, and what an auteur you have proven yourself to be. And I will now forever defend your honor. This movie surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
It was
Listeners,
one where
you can't see that, but Tyler is clutching his fingers together and tapping in a
I can't see
steeple
Tyler
motion.
for whatever reason, but
I don't have my camera on.
He's actually
Oh, okay.
completely blacked out. He is just a figure in the shadows right now.
Some would call me a Dark Lord.
Yeah.
No, man, this is a movie I really wasn't looking forward to watching because I saw it was 2 hours and 16 minutes. And I was like, oh, I skipped over that part. PG-13, 2 hours 16 minutes, 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. And you guys weren't like hyping this up to be like anything special last week. You guys were, it just ended up on the short list somehow, and then you guys were like, oh yeah, cool, we're watching that. And I don't know, I just wasn't fully into it. And sitting down, it took me a second to get bought in, and then I was pretty bought in. We'll just say
So
that.
you went pretty blind then. Like you
very, very blind. I didn't watch
Yeah.
the trailer.
Full blind.
I saw that it was Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. And that was pretty much it.
early
And Michael
year
Bay.
ScarJo.
Very. We'll get to that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, it's a 19-year-old movie. Why is she shouting so much? Why, she's just shouting her lines.
I have to assume that's because because it's a Michael Bay set, and I just
It's a
assume
Michael Bay. No, that's exactly what I can
it's
just see
loud
Michael
as
Bay being,
fuck.
exactly. I could just see Michael Bay saying, louder, louder. I need to hear you from over here. I could just see that happening.
Meanwhile, there's a
So I
truck
don't-
backing up in the scene somehow or something. Like,
Yeah,
you just-
I don't blame her, but it is wild seeing her pre like MCU because that's kind of my baseline for ScarJo.
Sure, I think it is for most people at this point.
Yeah. So it is kind of weird seeing her just before that. But yeah, I mean, this movie, it's fun, it's wacky, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it's also kind of like a cool concept in some ways, and it has some interesting things going for it. And at the end of the day, like it's just entertaining to watch once you turn your brain off, for sure. And I understand the appeal here with The Island, and I understand what Michael Bay is not only going for in this movie, but this kind of unlocked a whole different perspective of Michael Bay for me, and
has changed.
Exactly. I've entered a different dimension of Michael Bay. I've like decoded his style. Like I understand what he's trying to convey to me. Exactly. This one truly unlocked Michael Bay for me, and yeah, I can't hate on him anymore. It's just this is probably one of this and The Rock aren't too far apart for me. I mean, this is up there, man. This was fun.
I'm happy to.
This was a wild ride.
Have witnessed a significant moment in podcast history here.
It is. It truly is. I you know what? I repent to my sins.
Mea culpa.
I've come full circle.
You are
on this
forgiven.
man, Mr. Bay.
Um,
But yeah, this is a fun movie. If you haven't seen it, I think it's on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
I had to rent it because I was like, I'm not buying a month of that. So if you have that, watch it. If you don't, then maybe wait for it to. Maybe wait till you find a reason to buy Paramount Plus. Maybe wait till it comes to a different streaming service. Is it worth a rent?
No, this movie.
$3.99. If you're a movie buff, for sure,
Yeah,
rent
if
this
you haven't
movie
seen
if
it,
you haven't seen it.
and you got a free Friday night, and you got
100%.
some friends over, whatever it is.
This
Why not?
movie should be free with ads on every streaming service. Like that is
For
it is
sure.
This is a Tubi
100%.
movie. This
Yes,
screams
this
Tubi.
is a Tubi movie. Like it is a shocker that it's not on Tubi, to be honest with you. But like I'm gonna pull my boomer shit here, but like this feels like, oh yeah, movies again used to be like this, where it was just like,
Oh,
oh,
100%.
oh yeah, an
Different time.
original concept, original in heavy quotation marks, but like
Very.
Michael Bay is doing a movie and it's about this concept and it's gonna be crazy action and it's gonna look good and it's gonna have crazy stunts, and you know what? You're going to have a weekend free in the summer. You're going to go see this. And like, that's just how it was, kind of thing. I have
Because
a very
For sure.
movie tickets were $7. And
Also
what better
true.
things did you have to
Also
do?
true.
Yeah.
Um, but like, I have a very distinct memory of, I think, like, you know, being the age where my parents dropped me off at the movie theater at like 11 in the morning, and like I would pick me up at 6 or something, kind of thing. And where we would go, it was a theater called Harkins at the time. I think it's still around. And
Did you say Harkonnen?
yeah, Baron Harkonnen had their own lineup. This is why
Love that. Thank you. That's awesome.
That's
Keep
just-
the Dune 2 trend alive.
This is
all right?
why
That's
I,
the kind of energy I'm looking for.
This is why I hate the Dune franchise, actually, because the Harkonnens have been have been taking advantage of me for years. No, Harkins. They had a thing where, like, when you went into the lobby, there was another theater screen that was like positioned above the concession stand, and they would just play like clips from movies and stuff on there, or trailers or that kind of thing. And it was a full on, you know, big theater sized screen that was up there basically. So they, in essence, had another theater in their lobby. And that is how I remember watching probably the first 15 minutes of this movie, was like
Awesome.
it in that like theater thing in Harkins in 2005. I want to say it must have been so that like they could promote it or something like that. But like I think we were talking about last week when you had to sit in line to get to a movie theater. I think we were sitting in line for another movie, and they would just show movies, clips and stuff
For
up on
sure.
that screen and everything. So yeah, that is my memory of the island. I want to say I probably saw it on TV for the first time a couple years after it actually came out. I didn't actually catch it in theaters as much as I've just been talking about it, because I felt like I'd seen the first quarter of it anyways.
All of that for you
Yeah.
to watch it at home.
But yeah, it's, you know, it's like classic late 90s, early thousands action sci-fi movie, like an honest to God movie. This is what I think of when I think of a movie from my childhood, kind of thing, and in that magical window when everything is good, like, and you don't have a a meter or a critical bone in your body, kind of thing. Ewan McGregor's great. Scarlett Johansson's Scarlett Joing, early ScarJo, so she's working into it a little bit. We've talked a lot about
quite a bit.
we've talked a lot about the cast in general, but I mean, Steve Buscemi, is it Djimon Hounsou? No, or yeah, Djimon Hounsou, Michael Clark Duncan, Sean Bean. I mean, just
Fresh off Lord of the Rings.
100%. Just a murderer's row of guys. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a recommend. Go check this out. Get yourself some Bayhem. And Tyler,
Quintessential Bay.
it's up there,
Right here.
man.
You know, I think if all you know is Transformers and Bad Boys, I think this is kind of just like right up your alley.
Yeah,
man,
it's
this was
Bago's
just like-
sci-fi, isn't it? Like it, or like full. I guess Transformers is too, but like his dystopian sci-fi.
Yeah, it was funny because I was laying in bed last night watching this, started it up. Leah was just like basically gonna pass out. So she's like, turn on whatever you want. And I was like, all right, bet. And so I was like, well, I'll start this. And then yeah, and it was just like at one point she was like, what are you watching? And I'm like, I
The
don't
Island, the movie that no one
know.
remembers.
Yeah, I'm like, it's called The Island. I was like, it is sci-fi. It's like I guess there's some kind of love interest in there, but I was like, that's not really the main point of the movie. I was like, I don't know. It's just it's kind of fucking weird. It's kind of a mind fuck. I was like, I really don't know how to explain it to you. And that was pretty much the end of that conversation. But it just goes to show, you know, like it is kind of one of those hard movies to describe a little bit without, you know, giving away some pinnacle parts. If you've never seen it,
Right.
it's something that you really do want to leave it to the imagination, and then you know, see
Yeah.
the surprise when it comes to it. And yeah, it's very cool. This was cool back in 2000s, and
Do you remember?
it's fun.
Do you
seeing,
remember at all
sorry.
the? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
No,
just
you're good.
interrupting. Do you remember at all the advertising for it? Because I feel like it was almost one of those like, what is the island? Like kind of like
So-
things, you know?
Yeah, so we can talk a little bit more about this, but it's not really even close to spoilers. And like we've said, this is kind of like almost a 20-year-old movie. But there really wasn't a whole lot of advertising here in the US. It's actually quite known for being more of a flop here stateside.
Sure.
And only really started to make its money once it got its global release. But yeah, this thing kind of tanked right off the bat here, and Michael Bay has gone on record to basically say that, like, well, it was marketing's fault.
Right. Because I feel like they might have spoiled the twist.
I don't remember if it was that or if there just wasn't enough done with it. They also
Yeah.
got a lot of backlash for the name.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
which like now it's totally fine, because if
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and it would have
but-
been like it would have become old. The beach that makes you old. Like that.
Yeah.
It would have become a meme. Like if it came out in 2023. You know.
100%. And so yeah, I don't really remember a whole lot of the advertising for it. I was probably also at an age where like I didn't really pay attention to anything other
Sure,
than what I was
right.
there to see. And so yeah, I don't really quite remember that, but yeah, this movie did not do well in the US.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame.
Because like
It is.
I think
Especially because like there's also like this script got into Bay's hands from Spielberg.
sure.
And so
Wow.
and
Wow.
so he like handed it down
Would
to
not
him,
have
and he
guessed
was
that.
like
No,
he was like,
Spielberg produced the first Transformers film.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a
First Transformers film, there are some good aspects
First
to it.
Transformers is good.
it comes
Solid.
I feel like this movie should be more highly rated, but it's not. But I do appreciate the fact that, you know, people like Adam in that generation, or, you know, the people that just are in that same scenario who haven't seen it yet are just happy with like right where it is. And it is good. It is fun. And yeah, there's some controversy behind it too. Earlier Nathaniel kind of alluded to it when he said, you know, it's an original idea, heavy quotes. There is a lot of say of like what this movie took away from. There was actually a huge lawsuit about it. There's a book called Parts,
Sure.
that is basically the same premise of what this is. And so yeah, there was like a huge lawsuit. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, obviously you guys know I like this movie. This actually got on the short list because of me. And
remember that.
I actually put last week put a number through the randomizer on Google, and it popped out The Island. So it wasn't even one that
Oh, so this was intentional the whole time.
so yeah, I didn't
It
even
was
actually
rigged,
pick
everybody.
it.
This
So-
episode, it's a fraudulent episode. all right?
Fabricated.
Fabricated.
Yeah. Fake news.
I wasn't. I wasn't gonna go there.
Very mean, very mean, very nasty.
But yeah, a lot of explosions. No, this movie's great. I obviously have a really good time with it, and yeah, I'm a big recommend.
Big recommend, and I think that's all the way around from Blake's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, Blake did
was-
send us a short
yeah.
review. Is it spoiler time or is it spoiler review?
I don't think so. I don't think it's spoilers, but we can go into spoilers anyways and then say it if you want. I mean, obviously, from reading it, you can tell that it's a positive.
Yeah, here it's not
recommendation.
spoiler. It doesn't.
No, yeah, you
doesn't
could
seem
read it. You can read it.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Blake's short non-spoiler review. How the hell did I miss this film? This is pretty much Michael Bay in his peak after the first two Bad Boys films before the Transformers series. If I caught this in real time, it would have been the same nostalgic feeling the rest of the 2000 Bay joints have. Solid acting, the cast is awesome, and this film is 2000s through and through. Always good to see Scarlett Johansson pre-MCU, and R.I.P. Michael Clark Duncan. And then he provides his ranking, which we will, of course, read out after our spoiler segment. So that seems like a recommend all around. He didn't explicitly say recommend, but it seems like it's a pretty positive review based on what he said. So recommend all around. We're going to go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you've not seen The Island and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead and check that episode description where we have left a timestamp you could jump to the ranking of the movie up upon our Entropy list.
Hop upon.
All right. You got a noise for me, Nathaniel?
Woo!
Cool. The lottery. The
lottery. Would you like some more?
Please sit tight for the lottery.
There you go. That's pretty good.
There you go. Well, fellas, what a film.
What a film.
I think this finished up, and as the credits rolled, I turned to my dad and I said, "What a ride!" And that's still how I feel. I'm not quite sure I ever got off that ride. I think I'll ride that till I die, till I visit the island.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, this was just a surprisingly good time. I had no expectations going in. Did not know anything about the movie. Did not know anything about the island, quote unquote. But had the idea of some shenanigans pretty quickly, and I will say I'm glad with how little time they actually spend in the facility. I feel like a lot of times in this kind of movie, they spend like half the movie in that facility, and it's kind of like, what's going on? Like, we need, and it's like the characters slowly unraveling it, and it's like from the get-go, it's like, no, this guy's already on to something, and he's ready to jump ship. Like, there is no wasting time here.
Yeah, like right off the bat, he's like, why is everything white?
Yeah, right. I want a different effing color, bro. Yeah, so he's right from the jump, just on top of things. And I appreciate that because it makes me feel like the character is capable and intelligent, and I don't have to question his decisions for the most part going forward. Obviously, it's a Michael Bay movie. Eventually, I'm going to start questioning some things. But, I did appreciate that for kind of not dragging that kind of thing out, and we get out of the facility pretty quick, and it's immediately followed by about 15 to 20 seconds of helicopter circling fucking pans that just run around them and keep cutting to each other, and I missed that. You know what? I'll say it. I missed.
Someone's got to do it.
You want to call it? Like, we don't do that anymore. Like they just don't do it like they used to. But I miss those shots, and I think this. I don't know. Is that a Michael Bay thing, or is that just?
I don't know, man, but it is a similar thing of like I feel like
he's kind of trademarked it, whether he was the first to do it or not.
Yeah, I feel like I saw something that like it was like Ewan jumping out a window or something, and like I was just like, oh, that's clearly wire work. But also at the same time, I was just like, that's the good stuff. Yes. Like, you know, like that meme where it's like sickos in the window. That's like, yes. Like that's how I felt watching so much of this movie. I was like, I love that it's color graded to shit. I love that like I can like everyone's
saturated
yelling
every frame.
yeah. Yeah, it's chef's kiss.
It's absurd, man. It's
Great.
absurd. It's very stylized. Knows exactly what it wants to be. Does whatever the hell it wants at the same time. Like I was not expecting so many trucks to get flipped when this movie started. Like highway sequence, I literally like I was like, they have to be done now, right? Like they have to be. And then
fair.
no, they kept flipping trucks, and I was like, how is Michael Bay have the budget for this? And the answer is because he's Michael freaking Bay. But I was like, this is awesome. And then the audacity to just be like, hey, Black Wasp, keep the chase alive. And I'm like, you know what? Run it. Black Wasp, what you got for me? Oh, it's the sickest motorcycle flying device I can imagine. Awesome. Let's go. Let's have a 3-dimensional vertical chase scene on hover bikes running into like trams up in the air. Like it's awesome, dude. That sequence is dope.
That is like, so a couple things. Obviously the highway scene is very Michael Bay and very Transformers. Clearly a big piece taken from this to Transformers. But the bike scene, the jet bike scene going into the building at the end, that extra actually gets hit. The guy, he's wearing like a white sweater. He literally like gets hit by the bike, and like it's he really gets hit on set. That thing,
what happened to him?
He was fine, but like that thing literally was like renowned on set for being like the most dangerous thing. It broke like a $60,000 camera on the highway scene. And then if it wasn't for the crew like yelling at Bay to like get down, it literally would have like decapitated him.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Dude, it was an absurd set.
Bayhem, baby.
That makes me love the Black Wasp even more.
It's incredible.
That's awesome to hear. That's amazing.
Anyways. Yeah.
What a master at product placement for
Oh my
2005.
Oh my god, beautiful
It's
product placement.
everywhere. And
I
he's known
literally
for that,
started
but
laughing when they were playing an Xbox simulator. I was like, bro, it's 2019.
I don't think
You're really advertising an Xbox here.
I don't think his movies like actually end up costing money, like from like the amount of like product placement that it gets in there.
He does. Yeah, he's actually known for that. That's why there's so much of it, because he uses so much of his money for that.
I think
that's
a bunch of shit.
Similar to kind of like how,
you know what? So valid.
Like James Cameron is known because he came up as like a set designer, that he will like find the cheapest way to make something look awesome. Like in Terminator, he does like rear projection and miniatures, and like it looks great, still does to this day. And
Facts.
Like Bay, I feel like also has this reputation of will get the most for his dollar, but it is going to be, he's cocaine James Cameron is what it is. He gets the military in, and he always like shoots it really like he always shoots the military kind of like glowingly and like, oh, they're so cool. But it's accurate, and it also means that they will do all of it for free because it makes it look
isn't
good.
That part of Transformers?
Yes.
Is like all the military equipment was provided by the military, and they shot on aircraft bases because they were like, yeah, this is free advertising, basically.
Basically, 100%. And then he also subsidizes the other half of it with the product placement, which is why, and I think it's like Transformers 4 or whatever.
Oh,
Mark Wahlberg just necks a Bud Light in the middle of a street.
well, well, no, that's funny because I think it's in the first Transformers that they turn an Xbox into a Transformer.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
They turn an Xbox, I think 360 maybe.
Yeah, Xbox
into a
360 becomes one.
Transformer.
There's like a Mountain Dew thing. Like,
Yeah, there's oh my god, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Honestly, I respect the craft, man. Like, do what you got to do to get the movie made. I don't know. Product placements for me have never really bothered me if they're not like
Nokia. The Japanese know the way of the samurai. Nokia's from Finland. Like, that is all product placement.
That's awesome. The only one that has bothered me is the freaking like Ford Focus commercial in the Barbie movie,
Oh yeah.
where they do like the chase scene and is just objectively like a Ford or Chevy commercial or something like that. But yeah, product placements never bothered me. I thought it was hilarious that they were still using the Apple like Mac computer was just like right in the center of a frame in one shot in the like foundation or whatever you want to call it. I mean, yeah, though, do what you got to do to get the movie made. It doesn't bother me too much.
No, the Cadillac is also one of the big ones too.
Oh, yeah.
That was a concept car from Cadillac at the time, and so it was very, very cool to have something that looks so futuristic. Kind of like the yacht too. The design of the yacht that he draws is pretty insane as well.
Yeah, no, that the yacht design is really cool. I 100% agree. That was something that stood out to me. I was like, this is way cooler than it has any right to be.
Yeah, that was like the reason for Tom Lincoln's job in the first place was because Michael Bay kept receiving brochures in the mail for yachts.
Mhm.
And so he always thought that they were very like luxurious and beautiful when he was getting those brochures. So that's why he
Yeah.
gave Tom Lincoln that job in the movie. He was like, yeah, that's cool. This is cool.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah,
I feel
I don't know.
I feel like there's a very 2000 and early 2000s kind of borderline sexual harassment, a lot of stuff happening to Scarlett Johansson.
dude,
Like
is it
security
borderline?
guard like looking under the sheet, and he's like, "Meh."
Yo, that was the
You know,
worst
I'm
one
like,
of it.
dude,
What a shame. I was like,
happening
oh
right
my
now?
god, dude. Between this and Crank, I'm like, I think we need to cancel the 2000s, bro.
The biker guy is trying to take advantage of her in the bar.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm dying. I'm like, oh my god.
Probably my favorite, and it's when Steve Buscemi goes, "Hey, I know you don't know a lot of things, but one thing that's universally known: never give a woman your credit card."
Yeah,
And Ewan McGregor snatches the credit card of the money out of Scarlett Johansson's hands
Dude.
and gives a look of like, yeah, actually, that makes sense. I kind of already knew that. Like, he just gives a look of like, yeah, of course, I
knowledge,
should not
yeah.
do that. Like, that's obvious. Like, I don't know, just the look he gave was like, oh yeah, duh. Like, I can't believe I forgot that. I was like, oh my god, Ewan.
Yeah, the early 2000s, not a great time for women's freedoms.
No, I don't think it was. You could also argue 2022 not a great
Also
time
true.
for women's freedoms, and every year since then, and it remains to be seen.
Maybe there's a
how
reason this one
women's
freedoms
freedoms will
in
be,
America.
under siege. Maybe there is.
Because of advertising.
Yeah,
Sure.
that was it. Advertising the women.
Got me. You got me. Yeah, man. I mean, this movie starts to just like fall off the rails in terms of like it just doesn't care. It doesn't take itself seriously. And
There's no island.
Yeah.
well, yeah. There's
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
That's why the backlash came from the name, because there's not even like
Yeah, right.
there's not even a figment of an island.
Oh.
There is no island.
what that's so stupid if that was real backlash.
Oh, it
Dude,
was.
this movie,
It for sure was.
I can't imagine the backlash if this movie came out today. We'd find a lot more things to have issue
No, I
with,
think it would be revered today.
potentially.
Yeah, maybe not the
Potentially.
depictions as much, but the
Yeah, you got to switch a couple things around, but just
the filmmaking is like the actual craft
For sure.
is definitely there. And again, like I just can't believe going back to it, just like this is what like a casual summer blockbuster used to get you in terms of quality of cast, quality of direction, quality of like cinematography as well too. And just like, yeah, it's a pastiche of all of these other things that you've seen a million times before, but at least it's fucking a fun time. Like,
It's a great time, dude.
and like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it really scratched that itch. As Blake said, like, how did I miss this? Like, this would have that same level of nostalgia. Yeah, I feel like this is a forgotten one in a lot of ways. I'm glad Tyler threw it on the list. I'm glad we were able to, talk about it as well too. I wasn't like crazy jazzed. I was like, oh yeah, the island will be fun, but it was a good time to revisit, man. Like, again, this is the era of stuff that needs to be on streaming, not fucking whatever Netflix show they're creating from a tweet that came out in 3 years ago that they're going to cancel after one
that
season.
A24 movie that got made from that Twitter thread. I forgot what it's called off the top of my head.
Zola?
You know what I'm referencing?
Sure.
Yes.
Zola,
That's
yeah.
a good movie.
Zola's
That's
great.
a good movie.
Zola's
It's a good
great.
movie.
But like, you know what I'm saying?
Only A24 and Neon, okay, can make movies from tweets. All right,
Sure.
I declared that.
Sure. But I'm saying the newest thing that you're promoting on Hot Ones because you want to market it to everyone and just get everyone to buy in on it so that they can also buy the merch, and then you've got their money for the next 5 years. Fuck you. Make good movies again. Like, stop choking my shit.
I'm gonna pay RDJ $90 million
Yeah.
to appear in my next film. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Well, he can loan me 10 then.
You could make a good 12 movies on $90 million that like could make money in the box office.
Oh, 100%. But they all like there was the other podcast, The Weekly Planet, was talking about this earlier this week because they were reviewing The Crow, and they were like, it's a $50 million bet, but if you crack $1 billion, like that's a win every time. Like
For sure.
you'll make that bet kind of thing. Like that's just how it works these days. And
Unfortunately.
and then that's fucking crazy. But it just is what it is.
Yep.
Anyways, this is not where I expected the island conversation to go. I'm gonna stop talking now for a little bit. You guys, you wrap up here, but I'm gonna recommend. Love it. Love Ewan. Love ScarJo. Love Michael Bay.
Yeah, great cast. I think everything was put together really well. I think I've said plenty of things on this movie where people listening, all you people out there listening, will surely understand. My love for this movie, especially if you decide to watch it or if you have seen it. I suggest you do a rewatch. I had kind of grasped your reaction to this movie, Nathaniel, just based upon our similar watchability and something like that. Adam, since you hadn't seen it, I was very excited, especially just your generation, your age group and everything, to see what that was. I was a little upset that I didn't get to hear Blake's opinion from his mouth, but obviously him and I will be able to talk about this next week, because I do want to hear him physically say it. Because so there's just a different level of excitement when you get to see people and, and see their facial expressions, and so yeah, it's definitely something I want to hear Blake's opinion on from the man's mouth himself. But overall, love this movie. I think we should get it up on the list, unless Adam has some final words of wisdom.
I do actually. One final thing I want to say. I know we've talked about Michael Bay quite a bit during this review segment, and I just want to say how much momentum this man has with the camera and his editing style. You just feel the camera move. He makes edits that like just don't make sense.
Yep.
A lot of jump cuts, a lot of just things where like things do not line up, and just the way he moves the camera and keeps things rolling is kind of it's almost inspiring to me. Where I'm like, I just need to just be moving more. I guess like I just need to be following the action and jumping wherever it makes sense.
There's
like
there's a clip.
So much momentum.
There's a clip that goes viral on Twitter every now and then. I think it's from the second Transformers, where one of the villains like sweeps his arm over like a bunch of like army men, and a dude gets beheaded, and you see the head fly up onto the screen, and then it cuts so fast that like no one has noticed for like the 10 years that movie has been out until like 2 years ago. They're like, they really hit a whole ass beheading scene in this, and we just didn't know. And like that was when I was like, you know what, Michael Bay is the fucking goat. Like let the man cook. Like,
yeah.
No,
but
he's reached Ridley Scott status. Just let him cook, let him go.
It's genuinely impressive just like how much his movie just has some momentum is the only word
some
I can.
Energy.
It's got energy. It's got
propulsiveness.
It's got
adrenaline.
Yeah, you can feel the movie progressing and the scenes developing, and like he gets the action. He knows how to film it. It's high octane, man. It's it's good. It's good. This was eye opening for me for sure. And I will never speak bad on Michael Bay ever again.
I am
All that
glad.
being said, I think that's it for our spoiler segment here. So we'll welcome back any listeners that skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're going to go ahead and throw the island up upon our Entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the Entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. This is essentially how we rate our movies rather than do it out of 5 stars, out of 10, whatever it ends up being. We throw up all the movies we review on a list and see how they compare to one another. If you want to reference the Entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking the episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Entry 199 on the Entropy list. At the bottom, of course, is the recently uncrowned, bottom crowned, bad crown, whatever you...
Piece of shit.
It's Borderlands down there at the bottom. And, of course, the glorious Almighty Dune Part 2 at the top, which I may or may not have watched over the weekend.
I think we should flip them next year.
Just
Doom. Just a hot swap. See if anyone notices. I can do it right now. We'll see if Blake ever says anything. That would be funny.
We all
funny. Swap them really quick. Come back next week and be like, "Did I miss something?"
Blake, we all unanimously voted. You were outvoted.
Yeah, it was 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
We
brought Foley in as the 4th guest, and
Facts.
Celeb, like celeb shots in beer pong, it's just like a celeb vote, on the Entropy list. That's just how it goes. We'll start off quick with Blake's ranking, since we already have that available. He put it at 127, which sounds much lower than I'm sure it is. That is below Trick or Treat and above Shang-Chi, which is a fantastic spot. That's
that's
really
about right.
Good. Yeah. I'm personally above Trick or Treat, but I don't think it'll be by too much. Late Night with the Devils probably is holding me up.
You also got The Rock at 131.
Do you? You know what? I might have enjoyed this more than The Rock. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
So I'm okay putting it above that.
Wow, as long as you're okay. Disappointing Sean Connery.
I am okay. Disappointing
Welcome to The Rock.
Connery. I think I will put this. I will go slightly higher, at 119, below The Conjuring 2 and above Crank. Can't in good conscience put this below Crank.
Wait, are you doing it above
And-
The Last Duel? That's at 119. Are you just?
I said what? What I say? I said 119. Did I not?
Yeah, but you said below The Conjuring and above Crank.
I when I glanced back over, I missed the Last Duel. Sorry, below The Conjuring, above Last Duel.
Okay.
Last Duel, and Crank being next to each other is hilarious because I hate both of those
I
movies.
know
Those are
it
actually-
is very funny,
those
and you're
are
wrong about
bottom-
both of those.
Those are bottom two movies for me.
You're 1,000% incorrect.
I would have to
Whatever.
rewatch The Last Duel, but I am a fan of
don't
Crank.
plan on it. I don't plan on watching Medieval Mad Men. What the hell was that, dude?
It was Ridley Scott. Let him cook.
So you're at 119. Nathaniel, do you know where you want to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Blake at 127.
Okay. I'll have the nostalgia factor playing on my side a little bit more here. I do thoroughly enjoy this movie, and I think there are some other movies on here that are a little bit higher than where you guys are at that I would do. I would rewatch this before I would rewatch the other ones.
Sure.
And I think that's how I'm gonna kind of play this off, and I am going to be at 112. Below X, above the Menu. The Menu I'll probably never watch again. Last Night in Soho, probably the same thing. Halloween, Twister, Frozen, obviously. But yeah,
Sure.
Prey is
Yeah.
dope. Maxine is dope. You get into some bangers up there. So yeah, I think 112 is perfect for me.
I originally was like, what is the exact middle of the list? Because I feel like this movie might be the perfect middle, you know?
Sure.
But like, then I realized that that's basically 100, and that's Barbarian and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And there's just, it's not there, you know?
That's tough.
So yeah, overall, like I said, I'm with Blake, 127.
All right, that gives us an average ranking of it was like 121.5 or something like that. So it goes below Pearl and above Late Night with the Devil.
Pearl. Okay,
Oh, that's
I
a
don't
good
mind
spot.
that.
That's a good
Splitting up the horror movies a
Yeah,
little bit.
it's
Yeah.
below Last Duel and Crank, but whatever.
You're wrong.
True.
You're so wrong on both of those movies. I
will
can't wait.
not
Also
take
true.
it
I
back.
can't wait
will
until
not
I field the
take
phone
them back.
call. 55-year-old Adam calls me.
No, that's not
2045,
gonna happen.
2055, and he goes, Nathaniel.
I appreciate that correction.
He goes, Nathaniel, I'm so wrong on Crank.
Dude,
I
that's what I sound like at
apologize.
55, bro. When do I start smoking cigarettes and when do I stop?
The
Is it
Last
like 7
Duel
years straight?
is an excellent piece of filming. I'll say, yes, I know, Adam. You're completely wrong.
It's not though. It's just not.
I love that he sounds like an old piece of shit, and you're like, yes, indeed.
Yeah, no, I sound exactly the same. That's
Smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
Everything will
Dude.
And then I just walk in and touch your face and be like, you haven't aged a day.
Oh, I didn't tell you guys about my ring. It's my 111th birthday.
All right. Where'd that land? 122 for the island. That's where it's gonna stand. That's it for our review segment here. Our next review segment is going to be TBD. We don't have anything currently scheduled
Could be Beetlejuice.
for next week. Most likely not. So 50-50. We gotta consult Blake to see what he wants to do. So that of course means we're gonna have another appearance of everyone's favorite host, Post Pod Adam. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite host, Post Pod Adam, coming at you with an update on what we're watching next week. After some deliberation, we decided we would continue our watch of the Dark Knight trilogy, an out of order watch, but we are going to continue our watch nonetheless and go with The Dark Knight Rises next week. That is currently streaming on HBO Max, or I guess just Max. So yeah, go check out The Dark Knight Rises if you have not already seen it, and join us for our review of that next week. Wow, I cannot wait to watch that movie next week. That's going to be awesome. Love it. Great pick. Unless it's Beetlejuice. Then I'm not
Bro,
excited.
Just wait until that movie blows your mind, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
You're going to like this.
Odd time for Beetlejuice to come out. No? I feel like that should be an October movie.
I, like, we're in September. Like I'm forcing fall at this
We're
point.
rolling up to it, but it's
Yeah.
early September. I feel like that's got to be like a September 22nd. You know, like that's got to be late September. That's got to be the appetizer to October to
Where-
horror. You know what I mean? Like
where-
we got to be working our way up.
Where's the pod at on Michael Keaton? Because like he's approaching probably like my top 10 actors. Like I love that dude. He's so great in everything all the time.
I'm pro
Keaton
Michael.
boss.
I'm pro Michael Keaton.
Like
I'm
I
not-
think he might be one of the unsung like great actors. I think people
he's not
don't
celebrated
appreciate it.
enough. I can agree with you on that. I don't know if he's gonna crack my top 5 anytime soon or top 10 even. I can't say that, but he's up there. I like him. You know, he's good. He's very
Michael
solid.
Keaton rules.
He's good, dude. I like you say he's in your top 5, and I'm not gonna fight you on that. You know, it's
Honestly,
that kind of
not top
respect.
5, top 10, top 10.
Top 10. Okay, if he's in your top 10, like I absolutely double thumbs up. Like that's a solid pick. Not mad.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bring
Um,
Michael Keaton. He needs more love. He deserves it at this point.
he does. Do we want to do a quick what watching? We got a little bit of time left here on pod time. Checking the pod time. We got some time here. Do you guys watch anything recently of note or that you'd like to discuss?
You know, I have not been watching a ton, but I will show you what I've been reading.
Great time to show the audio only podcast.
That's
what
right.
We've been reading.
The 101 horror books to read before you're murdered by
So it's just
Awesome.
a list.
Sadie Mother Horror Hartman. It is
So you're
not a
just
list.
reading a list. Okay.
It is not a list or a listicle. It is a collection of films and books, mostly books. No
Mm.
films, actually.
So it's a list.
that you can read that will make you scared.
So it's a list.
Adam, it's a collection.
Okay.
Much like the
Whatever you
Criterion.
say. Yep. That's where my mind went too.
No, yeah, it's great. It's given me a lot of cool things to recommend and to like enjoy for myself. And yeah, I think I've read 3 or 4 books off of it as well too. One of which is also to my right, which is called Pen Pal. That actually started as a series of Reddit posts and became so popular on the No Sleep forum that they actually turned it into a book. And it's written by a guy who is local to Chicago.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's that about? Give me a quick synopsis.
It's a guy kind of remembering his childhood, and turns out the pen pal he might have had as a kid might have been a serial killer as well too.
Sick.
Yeah, it's
like
it's got a famous kind of gut punch ending. I remember reading it as a series of Reddit posts on the No Sleep forum back in I think college. But I've forgotten so much of it at this point, and I remember like at the time I think I just chewed through it like in an afternoon. So I'm excited to go back and read that again. There's a lot of really cool stuff right now, like similar we were talking about obviously moving into Halloween and September fall. I'm gonna have so much stuff coming in at work too to read, and yeah, I'm excited for spooky season book edition. Check back in, folks.
Yeah, I might have to get on some of that.
Absolutely, man. If you want any of that, I will recommend a bunch.
Gang.
Have you ever read Skeleton Creek, Nathaniel?
Skeleton Creek, I have not. Is that a I've read Skeleton Crew. That's Stephen King.
No, Skeleton Creek. I might have brought this up on pod once before. It was probably a little, I guess you would say, beyond your time, if you want to go there, where like that was like a popular like teen-ish horror novel when I
After
was
my
in,
time would have been.
Yeah, you know, beyond your time. I mean, hey, if you're calling me complaining about Crank in 50 years, you know, we can say
Crank
beyond your
is
time.
so good, Nathaniel. I was so wrong.
And Skeleton Creek, I think, came out probably
says
when I was like
2009.
the fifth or sixth grade. Oh, okay. Then even earlier than that, maybe third or fourth.
Is a
was kinda
children's
around the time.
horror mystery novel by Patrick Carman.
There you go. It probably hasn't aged the best, but it was really cool. It was like a multimedia kind of thing where like you would read a few chapters,
sure,
and
sure.
then at the end of the chapter was like, hey, go to this URL. And it was like an in-universe blog that this guy was like uploading videos
I
to.
remember vaguely this cover of like the skull
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was like the character in the book had a like blog almost where he was
Sure.
documenting this mystery in his town, and like there were video clips that you would like go and watch. So it was kind of cool. I really enjoyed there's like 3 or 4 of the books. I really enjoyed them, and
Real
they
augmented
were
reality
scary at
game.
the time to me. I don't know if those URLs are still active, so if you try to read it today, I don't know if they would link anywhere.
Hit
but
the Wayback Machine.
there you go. But that is one that vividly stands out to me as I was like, looking back, like, cool book, cool book. I wonder how they aged. I mean, if I read them today, I don't know how well they'd go, but cool concepts, cool execution.
Lord of the Rings is still the coolest book I've ever read.
So, like, it's one of
so
6 books you've read as well, too.
The other one's The
I've read more than
Hobbit.
6.
The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, 1,
Yeah, I mean,
2,
I've
and
for
3.
sure read all those.
Yeah.
Those are, you know, yeah.
Dr. Disrespect.
Yeah, that's 5 right there. What's the 6?
You know, that definitely
that aged well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
The
he
Odyssey was one
tweeted
of my
today.
favorite ones in high school.
Ooh, you know what? I
Odyssey's
had to
pretty
read
great.
the Odyssey in high school, and I hated it. And then I had to reread it my freshman year of college in like this Greek. It wasn't a Greek mythology class, but it sort of was. It was like Greek philosophy, kind of historical
fair.
readings and writings. And I enjoyed it much better the second time. I guess I didn't realize how much changes by what translation you read.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that weird?
like wild. Isn't that wild? I just didn't realize how much there was to change and interpret. The interpretation I ended up reading in college, I forgot who the author's name, but it was like cool because they had the person who interpreted the book, and like she came and spoke at Mizzou. But I was reading that one, and I was like, oh, this book makes way more sense than I remember.
Turns out
And
translation and interpretation are important.
Very important. Yeah, I didn't know there was so much variation in how you interpret ancient Greek stories. Yeah. Odyssey's a solid one. Is that 6? Is that all 6 books you've ever read, Tyler? Do you just keep cycling through them?
No,
Or are you going to take out Dr.
has to
Disrespect, or are you just going
read-
to keep it in there for posterity's sake?
Everyone has to read what? To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice of Men,
Classics.
Yes. Both those good.
Huckleberry Finn.
My similar experience to Adam.
I hate that book.
Lord of the Flies. Hated it the first time I read it.
I never had to read Lord of the Flies.
Oh,
that one I
man.
somehow missed.
Hated it the
there's
first time
a-
I read it. Loved it every other time I read it. Probably one of my favorite books of all time. Like,
There's
it's so good.
What's
Yeah.
that gamer one? Oh, Ender's Game.
Ender's Game.
Ender's-
Yeah.
Um,
That was the trendy one to pick. You're like, no, I'm the cool teacher. We can read
yeah,
Ender's
for
Game.
sure. For sure. Yeah, that was like for like a creative writing class. You had to read a creative book and then you had to write a creative paper.
How
I
creative.
mean, if we're counting comic books, I mean, there's a lot.
It's a good
There's a lot
point.
of,
You
uh,
got a lot of
there's a
manga
lot of stuff
too.
there, boys.
Yeah.
Lot
I
of
don't
stuff.
count that. That's cheating.
So
This
they're
is actually a
hardcovers. They're
thing.
very pretty.
This is actually a thing that I've been running into a lot at work. Apparently, a lot of kids nowadays they're reading graphic novels first.
Yeah, dude.
They jump there from the picture books and then go to like chapter books and that kind of thing. And I have so many parents that come up and they're like, they won't stop reading graphic novels. I just want them
I
to
did it the
read
other
chapter
way.
books. And I was like,
Funny
I can't help
enough,
you.
my girlfriend's little brother, who's like 13, was his parents were trying to get him to read more, but he would like only read graphic novels. So
Dude,
there it
makes
is.
Run
sense.
it.
And I also heard tangentially related that like manga and anime in general have kind of replaced comic books nowadays.
Yes.
So
So in a certain way, because you got to think about it, like think about your comic book, right? It tells you as a storytelling device. All right, sorry,
go on,
Professor Nathaniel.
do it.
Nathaniel.
Hang
Professor
on,
Nathaniel.
everyone. Pause for station identification.
This is KYOT, the Coyote. Professor Nathaniel, ringing in here. So if we're gonna break it down on a storytelling level, in traditional graphic novels, Western graphic novels, you have conflict, but it's all external. And it's, hey, the Avengers are going to stop X because of Y, and that is causing Z, right? And a lot of times it's, hey, you want to stop the world ending, but you have to choose between A and B and make the choice, Mr. Man. And those are all external conflicts that are happening to us. Manga is so often, and anime by extension, oh, hey, here is my thing. Here is the thing that I'm going. Here is how I'm feeling at this moment. And using those universal things of, oh, man, I'm struggling. Oh, man, I can't do this. Oh, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard. And I'm going to finally overcome it, which are all experiences that we want to have. We want to know what other people are thinking at all times. We want to know where they're at emotionally. And manga and anime as a storytelling form are much better than anything that the West has come from in a long time, since the Iliad and the Odyssey, where we were verbally telling all of these things to people and telling them how to feel and telling them what our characters are feeling at any given time.
Love that.
Session over.
Snaps for Professor Nathaniel. Running off of that, because I think everything you said is very true and insightful. I heard another thing that is attractive to just the storytelling in manga is continuous and more meaningful than comics. Whereas like comics, you have all these different series where like you have a Spider-Man spin-off where it's you know it's this Peter Parker in this universe 1068, and you know he can die, but then you know it doesn't mean much because in a year or two there will be another Spider-Man in universe 1067, and it's just like, you know, there's not as much meaning there when you know the stories are always going to continue and you will always get more of the same characters. Whereas in manga and anime, while the stories do drag on for a long time, it is one continuous thread, and the events do stack on top of each other, do continue to build.
Yeah, but I also think the other side of that is that there's a very big culture of audiences adopting and like playing with that from there, like that I think of like on that side of things, where it's like, yeah, it may not, like we may have the one continuous story, but then we'll have all these non-canon side adventures from like in their chibi form where they're really cute, or like in their like long form thing. Like there are still people in fandoms accessing the main thing from those other areas, whereas in Western storytelling it's just diversified and we just say, well, it's all part of this one thing together, but it's just maybe alternate versions or something like that. So I think it's a similar impulse but different. I do understand what you're saying, where it's like there's the serialized one story nature of manga, and then there's the episodic this issue nature of Western comics, and that does make sense, but it is different. Anyways, this has been far too long of conversation to at the end of the podcast. Let's wrap it up, boys.
No, I love it. I love it. Ty, have you been watching anything you want to talk about?
Nothing that I think would strike too much conversation with either of you gentlemen, but the Rings of Power.
Sure. How are you feeling about season 2? Boring or not? Because that's what I've been hearing.
No, I tend to stay pretty positive on anything that has to do with Lord of the Rings,
of course.
So, I think this is just one of those things where like, somebody is very smart in releasing this in the time frame that they are, and with it being fall, it's very cozy to me. It's very safe for me to be in Middle Earth, and it's a comfort place for sure. So I like to. It's been relatively nice to open the house at like 75, and I get to wrap up in a little blanket and just hang out on my couch and be happy in Middle Earth. So I'm having fun with it still, and I probably will continue to do so.
Good looks. I have one. As long as you're done there, Ty. I have.
Yeah, nothing else really to note. Clarkson's Farm season 3. It's been a
All right.
blast.
Sounds awesome. No, I put it in our group chat the other day. Have either of you heard of Strange Darling?
I have heard it. I love Willa Fitzgerald, and I will see it at some point. But that's all I want to know about it.
I was checking showtimes because I was debating if we could get this on the pod. It looks like it leaves theaters tomorrow because it's such a small release. So if you are trying to see it in theaters,
I am off tomorrow.
act fast. There you go. I'd seriously highly recommend seeing it. As I said in the chat, it's horror movie of the year for me so far. Better than Alien Romulus, better than Maxine. I'm trying to think of other horror movies that I might be skipping over that I've seen already this year that are new. And it's not hardcore horror. It's probably more thriller than horror, but it definitely leans and dips into horror. But I'm not going to say anything more. I think you got to go in completely blind. Don't watch a trailer. Don't find a description. Don't do anything. If you're going to go see this, don't look into it. Just, trust me, your trusty podcast host over here. And trust, the other people that recommended it to me that saw it ahead of me and said the same thing. Yeah, just sit down, enjoy. Oh, Long Legs. That's the one I knew I'm missing. Is it better than Long Legs? Maybe not. But it's close. But it's very, very close. So it's up there for me. Trust me. Yeah, if you have not seen Strange Darling, I think it's leaving theaters soon, so you might be able to find it some places if you're hearing this in time. If not, I will try to look out for you when it comes to streaming. But I do think it's a very good movie. If you are into horror at all, highly, highly recommend. Highly recommend not researching it. So, yeah, I just want to give my 2 cents on that. Highly recommend. Let's get out of here, fellas. That's it for podcast here today. Make sure you share the podcast, share it with a friend, a family member, maybe a fellow. What do they call them? It was something with an A.
Apex.
No. Whatever. A fellow island member. We'll keep it non-spoilers. While you're doing that, share the podcast, follow the podcast, follow some Banter Row, or on Twitter at Banter Row. There we go. On Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, where we should probably be more active there. And our YouTube is Back Row Banter. Our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. I love how we've just continued to plug it and probably haven't posted on there since the year 2020.
At least.
But hey,
4 years late.
It's okay. We'll get back around to it at some point. But yeah, go follow us in all those places. Nathaniel, where can the people find you at, my man?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @NSGingrich. You can find me on Letterboxd. Letterboxd and Twitter, NSGingrich. X, the everything app. And then you can also find me on Instagram at NathanielG92. Sandpiper Tapes is my other podcast. Tyler, where can we find you?
Instagram, Letterboxd, and X, all Tyler Vidalis, VIDALES. Is that it?
You can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H. That's AYYSH. That's going to do it here, I believe, for episode 204, The Island. Of course, thank you all for listening. If you, especially if you made it this far into the episode, you're my favorite listener, and we really do genuinely appreciate it. Join us for our review of whatever is in the episode description and whatever post-pod Adam told you to watch. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
I thought we vetoed that.
Oh, okay.
But
never mind then.
if we want to watch it, I don't know. We'd have to maybe we wait and consult Blake, I can wait to we can just do a post pod Adam and we'll see what he wants to do.
For what?
I'll be seeing it.
What movie?
Next week.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a pretty classic one for me. I would think that I would probably go see that as well. I'm sure Nathaniel, like he said, he's going to see it. I'm sure his ticket's already bought.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I don't have any attachment and have never even seen the first one, so I mean I'm not like eager to jump out and do that. So
I'm not surprised though. Yeah, because for you to really even look at
that's
second
90s,
one,
isn't
you
it?
need to watch the first one.
I think it's 80s.
90s, 80s. Sheesh.
It might be like super late 80s. It's right on the cusp.
88, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like. I guess you've never really been alive when Tim Burton has been on a heater, but like he did make good movies. Like,
Oh, for sure.
Like, and Beetlejuice, classic
had a run,
Beetlejuice
didn't he?
is good. Like it's a great movie.
I can't deny. I'm pretty sure he had a run. I just wasn't there to witness it.
That's what I'm saying. Like you've just never been
Yeah.
alive for his prime.
Yeah,
And like
the
nowadays,
thing
I think like if I was you, I wouldn't have any attachment to him either. But like he is.
I don't. In fact, I have a negative attachment to him where I had nightmares of Coraline when I was younger, and I just don't think I can watch any more Tim Burton films. I think he's just burned me too bad.
Oh, hilarious.
Especially
That movie
'cause
is freaky.
pretty sure Coraline's not a Tim Burton movie.
Is it not?
No, it's Studio Leica.
That screams Tim Burton.
No, it's Studio Leica. Yeah, Henry Selick. It's the guy that directed The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's not.
I always thought that was a Tim Burton movie, so my mistake. Maybe I'll give him a second chance.
It could easily be viewed as one for sure.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
mean,
not-
it's Coraline's a much darker tone than really most things Burton
For
ever
sure.
does. Burton's much
So-
more zany and kind of like creepy, funny.
Okay, so it's the same director as Nightmare Before Christmas, which Nightmare Before Christmas written by Tim Burton.
Correct. That's
Correct.
Nightmare
it.
Before Christmas is
That's-
technically an adaptation of I think Tim
got
Burton's poem and his artistry kind of thing.
And
And-
Corpse Bride, that is also Tim Burton.
That
That's
is
probably
Tim
where-
Burton. Yeah, that is
That
written and
is-
directed by
okay.
Tim Burton.
That's
which is
probably
also a
where I
good
got
movie.
those things crossed. Is I just assumed those were the same person and they're tangentially related, but Tim
Most
Burton's
people
not
would.
attached to Corpse.
Well, most people
Yeah,
assume
I don't think that's like a bad thing to
No.
assume.
most people
so-
assume that Burton directed Nightmare Before Christmas
Correct.
when he did not.
I think it would be safe to say though that you have been around for a few of Michael Bay's burners.
So this is true.
We'll get to that, but yeah, just a couple.
So you're not gonna get a better segue than that, bro. You got to kick it off.
I was gonna say I'm not here to hit the ball for you. I'll just teach you how to tee it up.
All right, fair enough.